Alright, hello everybody, we are back with some more Hades 2 1.0 content. Gonna do a keepsake tier list today. Of course, spoilers ahead, we will be talking about the new keepsakes as well. So let's go ahead and begin. We're in game now, and then we will hop over to our tier list as we begin to rank each different keepsake, and we'll use the natural order of them in our storage container as the way to naturally progress through each keepsake. So without further ado, our very first keepsake, the Silver Wheel. Gain 100 magic this night. I actually really like this keepsake, especially on High Fear when you are prone to prime a lot of magic. If you're using an Omega-oriented aspect in Biome 2 or 3, if you're nice and healthy, your build is set, and you're not worried about your timer, you can pick up the Silver Wheel for a ton of extra max magic. When they made the change to this keepsake from whatever it was before, and instead just gave you a way to get extra max magic, I really liked that. I enjoy the Omega moves quite a bit. I do still find them more often than not very hard to build into on a lot of different aspects, and sometimes they don't even do as much damage as simply swinging around whatever aspect it is, but they're a ton of fun and I want to use them as much as I can, so having a keepsake like this really helps you enable that style of play. With that being said, I think we are going to give Silver Wheel a solid A tier today. Next up we have the Knuckle Bones. The next Guardian is going to lose 15% of their max HP, and you take 10% less damage from Guardians. Admittedly, I underrate this keepsake. I know a lot of people like it, and I do think it is very strong. I need to start taking it more personally. I don't know how it works on specifically the rivals fight of Prometheus and Heracles. However, a ton of people have started using it for that, so I assume it takes 15% HP from both, plus you get the damage resistance as well. If I'm mistaken, do let me know down in the comments below, but if that's the case, it's even stronger there, which is great, but it's never really bad. Strong defensive keepsake, chunks a boss's HP for you, gives you damage resistance, really nice utility. And like I said, I know I don't ever click it. I know people always say, come on, Boated, use the Knuckle Bones. I give up, okay? I admit, it's a good flippin' keepsake. My only counter argument to where I'm going to rank this is I personally just find there is other, better options when it comes to defensive keepsakes, like the Engraved pin, which we'll talk about in just a bit. And because of that, I think Knuckle Bones will find itself in A tier as well today. The Luckier Tooth. After you fall to 0 HP, automatically restore 101 HP once this night. Another defensive keepsake that can definitely rival Knuckle Bones. I know the math experts out there are going to debunk this and say it's so much worse, potentially, etc, etc. One reason the Luckier Tooth can be really nice is if you lose the DD of the Luckier Tooth, and then find a way to replenish said DD, and then take off the Luckier Tooth. I believe the way the interaction works, once again, correct me if I'm wrong, you should keep the DD then, even if you unequip the keepsake, granting you an extra death defiance. Situational, yes. Strong, absolutely. Also, before the Ghost Onion worked through the Vow of Scars, this was essentially just a 101 health heal, so it was really nice with strength. You would put it on, deactivate strength, lose the DD by getting hit, whether that be on purpose or just waiting until it naturally happened, and then boom, heal up to full, strength reactivated, life great. Admittedly, with the change to Ghost Onion, which we'll talk about in just a second, it did kind of lose that situational use case, but still, overall strong, defensive keepsake, giving you an extra DD with a big heal at the end of it, with the potential to keep the DD if you find yourself in a very good situation. I think Tooth is another A tier for me for those reasons. Not exactly the upper echelon of keepsakes, but very solid use cases for what we have so far. Then we have the Ghost Onion. Whenever you exit a location, fully restore your HP up to a total of 100 this night. This keepsake does also work completely and fully through the maximum level of the Vow of Scars, which is supposed to disable healing effects, which it does, and this is not a bug, it's an intended use that they wanted to put in to the Ghost Onion to give it more viability in terms of healing in more overall situations. Another strong defensive keepsake, especially for you strength lovers out there. If you had a rough biome, put this on in your next one, whether that be Oceanus, Thessaly, Olympus, you name it. If you've lost a bunch of HP, you put this thing on, you go into your next room, it'll heal you up to a maximum of 100. With that 40% damage resistance on strength, it makes it even better. We love healing when playing strength. Great keepsake. I do really like the change. It's nice that it has more use cases. It used to be embarrassingly bad. I think it just has to be A tier again. Still a really strong, solid keepsake. Love the changes. Not exactly my S tier, but definitely doesn't deserve anything lower. A lot of respect gained for the Ghost Onion after the changes. On to the next. We have the Evil Eye. I don't remember what this is at rank 3. I only have it at rank 2, because there's never really a time you're going to want to use this. Deal % damage to the last foe that vanquished you. Mine's currently on a spindle. If you do want to set it up, if you're staying on one specific path, you can go to Kronos, go to Typhon, you're trying to win on that path, you die to one of them, oh no, now it's set up on that boss at least, you get extra damage specifically and only to that foe. Really not strong. A, you have to set it up and die to that foe, and make sure you only ever die to that foe, or you have to reset it up. B, you can get better damage from other keepsakes on all foes, let alone just one. I really don't know why this keepsake hasn't been changed by now. It is way too specific, can be very frustrating to set up, and then keep it set up. And even if it is, there's just other keepsakes that have more utility in bossing that much overshadow this. It's D tier for Evil Eye. The only place it can be, the only place it ever will be, as long as the effect remains. Gold Purse. You gain 100 gold this night. That's at level 1. Once again, it's gonna have a stronger effect at level 2 and level 3. Before the introduction of Timepiece, I could see a very small subset of situations where you would want to equip the Gold Purse. But now, it's only if you're not playing into Fate's Whim, and you desperately want the money for some specific reason. However, I've never found myself in a situation, in any sort of run, where I've thought, ah darn, I wish I had Gold Purse leveled up, I desperately need some money. The only, and I mean only, edge case I could ever think of is exactly this. You get Hermes Legendary, which is paid dues, you trade money to not take damage, and then going down into Tartarus, you take a fully leveled up Gold Purse, so that you can take more hits without losing any HP or armor. It's gotta be another D tier for me. Engraved Pin. Probably the best keepsake in all of Hades 2. It did suffer a nerf to make it count as a Death Defiance effect, so you could no longer use it with the Strength Arcana card. Therefore, this really is only going to be used if you're using Death Defiances, but if you are, the strongest defensive keepsake within the game. When you first fall to 0 HP, in any encounter, you're going to become doomed. When you're doomed, you are impervious, but have just 10 seconds to vanquish your remaining foes. Or else you're going to lose that Death Defiance. If you clear said encounter within 10 seconds, you heal back up to 60 HP. So if you're under 60 HP, you get HP for it. Becomes even more effective when you're at maximum Vow of Scars, because refreshing your HP to 60 does work under the Vow of Scars. Also, just 10 seconds of complete and utter imperviousness is ridiculous. And even then, if you clear just a phase of a boss like Kronos, if Kronos triggers your Engraved Pin and sets you to the doomed state in phase 1, and you clear that phase within the 10 seconds of your doomed state, you will save that DD and go into phase 2 with that Death Defiance, and no longer be doomed. You just can't trigger doomed again that fight. Incredible. Constantly refreshing your HP, constantly saving your Death Defiances, constantly giving you 10 seconds of free damage in any encounter, paired with other survivability tools, just makes it such an incredible keepsake. There is only one place this is going. It's the very top of S tier. I can't really see anything beating it either. That makes our Engraved Pin the very first S tier of the day. No other spot this could possibly be. One of, if not the strongest defensive keepsakes in all of Hades 2. Discordant Bell. I'm so happy it made that sound. That's exactly how I feel about the keepsake. After each encounter, all this night, You deal 1% extra damage, but also take that much more. This has the potential to be super fun. At 1% scaling, it's super boring. You would have to put this on for an entire run just to get it to any meaningful percent and give up on all the rest of your keepsakes. You could put this thing to 5 or even 10% per encounter and it would finally do something. Even then, it would be more of a meme than anything, but at least we could have some fun with it. In its current state, what are we doing? This was actually reworked, if I'm not mistaken, but it still fell so flat and needs to be looked at again without a doubt. This might as well be an empty keepsake slot. If you don't have it unlocked, you don't even need it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't even exist. The very bottom of D tier is where the bell will be going. Okay, metallic droplet. I love this keepsake. You move, strike, and channel 20% faster for the next 300 seconds. That's going to allow you to essentially clear a biome. You can put it on for Oceanus, Erebus, the Morning Fields, Tartarus. Get this huge buff to channel, move, and strike speed, and pretty much have it for the entire biome as long as you're going decently fast. And it's going to help you go decently fast. Such a fun keepsake. I wish I got to use it more, honestly. Anytime I can, I will. 10 out of 10. Super fun, super strong. Droplet, my beloved. It has to go up in S tier next to the pin. The white antler. For the next region, gain 30% critical damage chance. You are limited to 30 HP. However, with all the different defensive tools in Hades 2, you can always keep this in mind. Try to stack them up to the best of your ability. And then at the very end of a run in the final biome, if you have enough defensive tools, take the white antler, and in a lot of situations, like you probably saw in my max sphere run, it ends up being a straight positive with no real negative to it. Yes, it is very high risk, but incredibly high reward, and such an exciting and fun keepsake. Who doesn't love seeing someone take white antler on a run? It helps with speed runs, it helps with high fear runs, it keeps things exciting, it makes you play really, really well to take advantage of it. What an awesome design for a keepsake. It's my favorite by far. I couldn't be happier with it. So strong, so cool, 10 out of 10. How can we have this existing next to Discordant Bell in the same game? I don't know, but here we are. It's my favorite keepsake. It's an incredibly fun one, albeit there is some risk to this one, but wow. What a transformative keepsake in Hades 2, the white antler. There is no other place I would ever put this besides the S tier. Moonbeam. A reward from Selene will be likely, meaning you're gonna get a hex, and the next Path of Stars you find will grant +5 upgrades. Fantastic keepsake, super strong, helps with the aspect to Selene, helps if you're doing any sort of hex run. With the introduction to God Sense, it's even better. I really like this keepsake. I wish hexes were a little bit stronger. If they were even stronger, Moonbeam would be even stronger. But overall, if you're looking to play into a hex, you should look to fit Moonbeam into your run. Really fun, really cool keepsake. Obviously, very situational, the hexes, but overall, if I have a big hex in a run, and I think it's going to be influential, I will try to look to put on Moonbeam. Therefore, great keepsake. Any keepsake that wants me to actually use it, wants me to actually put it on, wants me to interact with it in some way, shape, or form, and I'm thinking in my head, I could really Moonbeam here because it's so good, is a good design for a keepsake in my opinion. Moonbeam is definitely a solid A tier for me. No doubt a strong keepsake, but of course hex specific. I like the idea, and it works really well. It's just if you're not using magic, you're not clicking Moonbeam. Okay, next up, we're going to cover these all at once because they all do the exact same thing, and that is the God Keepsakes. You will get a boon of that God, and you can use the keepsake to rarefy whatever boon you want within that biome as long as you have the keepsake equipped. This allows you to have much more consistent runs, build a God pool you're much happier with, and get some extra rarity while doing so. Super duper strong keepsakes if you have a very certain build in mind, or you started off with a good build and you want to complement it with another god. These allow you to do that. There's only one real place for these, and that has to be S tier, as there's nothing so consistent, nothing so good. So many runs hinge on taking a god keepsake to finish off or complement your build, go into some really strong duo boon, get some extra piece of damage or survivability. Always good to have. There's no real downside to taking one of these, making your run more consistent, finding a very specific thing you know will complement your run or build. Great keepsakes. And we have added all the god keepsakes up into S tier, of course, no other place for them. I am going to order out the list after we're all done placing things, but I think the very bottom of S tier, with the god keepsakes themselves being in no particular order, is a perfect place for them to sit due to their very strong effects. And that also knocks off a huge chunk of our list today, which I don't mind at all. Now, Athena is a god keepsake, but it's more specific, and there's some nuance to it, so I wanted to solo that one out. The Gorgon Amulet. While you have no death defiances, strength users rejoice. However, it also has a very cool interaction with death defiances, which a lot of people don't take advantage of, and definitely should. Athena may appear once this night, with at least epic boons. She appears in the final wave of an encounter, and usually clears that wave for you, unless you beat her to it, then gives you one of her very strong defensive boons. Not only that, but Athena also pauses your timer, and allows you to roam around a room as long as you want, doing whatever you want. You can't start more encounters, you can't fight more enemies, however, just giving you a nice brief moment to pause, settle yourself in, and take your Athena boon is always nice as well. That is why you actually see it used in speedruns. And then on top of that, you're getting the actual Athena boon, which there is plenty of very strong options. You have Divine Dash, where your dash deals damage to foes in your path and can momentarily deflect. Deflect, of course, is going to send foes strikes and projectiles right back at them without taking a scratch, also extending your iframes, I believe. Even Defensive Posture, after you take damage, you're going to become impervious for 2 seconds, a state in which you are completely invulnerable to damage, with a base recharge time of 13 seconds. However, if you're getting this from the Athena keepsake, it's coming in at Epic, so it'll only be at 9, I believe. Then there's Stalwart Stand, very strong with strength, believe it or not. You will gain a Death Defiance, which will make strength inactive. It's going to replenish in each location, which is every single room. Absolutely incredible defensive tool. But you will prime magic away, so if you need magic, do not click this, of course. And then since you have strength inactive and a Death Defiance effect, you can then take the Engraved pin, our top S tier keepsake with strength, and then when you lose said Death Defiance, you get 10 seconds of imperviousness. If you clear the encounter, fantastic, you get 60 HP back. If you don't, you have your Stalwart Stand, you lose your Death Defiance, it will come back in the next room, strength has been activated, you have damage resistance and more damage, and hopefully you clear out the encounter and continue on. Absolutely amazing choice here. Then if you're playing Death, you have Renewed Faith. So Athena can only be activated once you lose all Death Defiance effects. If you do that, you now have an option to get Renewed Faith, replenish all spent uses of Death Defiances, and it improves their potency. I believe 20% at Epic. Incredible. You can have 6 Death Defiances in a run. 7 if you got Tula. You can also get one from Narcissus, Wells, and Nemesis, you name it. Renewed Faith is here for Death users. Absolutely fantastic choice. You also have Mental Block, giving you even more cast damage, and a way to deflect once you pop your cast. You saw me use this in the Max Fear run. And then Athena even has some very cool and fun offensive options in Righteous Pikes. Whenever you use 90 magic, up to 3 foes are struck by spears from the heavens. And Task Force. If your Hex is God Sent, that effect may activate multiple times in each location. I think Athena is S tier, no doubt, and I would even wager to put Athena above the god keepsakes for now. Plethora of different defensive boons can really help out your run, and if you're playing Death Defiances and hit Renewed Faith, having a new lease on life with 3 new Death Defiances feels fantastic. Okay, next up, the Fig Leaf. A single encounter in 3 regions may be blissfully free from foes for the rest of this night. Another incredibly strong keepsake. You want to put this on after the first region so you can get the maximum benefit from it, being able to potentially skip 1 room per region for 3 regions, allowing you to really help out your timer, go super fast in a speed run, or just keep you nice and safe because you get to avoid 3 rooms of combat and still get the reward. Of course, the caveat is it's only a % chance for it to happen. You can get scammed by the Fig Leaf, you can miss out on it, which doesn't really feel that good. And although this is strong, I don't like the design of this thing at all, and I hate the percent chance to it. And it's a really unfun keepsake, because in speedruns specifically, you have to take it in Biome 2, which just kills the creativity point of keepsakes. And if you're under time pressure in Hive here, you almost always feel the need to take it as well, which is just quite lame. Although I disagree with the design choice of Fig Leaf, I cannot deny its strength at the same time. With that, it's gotta be an A tier keepsake for me. Alright, Silken Sash actually just got a buff with 1.0, giving us 30 base armor instead of 20. While you have at least 1 armor, gain 4 after each location or room. Really good keepsake. A ton of defense can also allow you to keep Arachne's dresses for longer, giving you whatever effect the dress has for much longer than you would have naturally had it. Super cool keepsake, super useful if you're trying to keep your armor for any reason. Honestly, just getting armor is a really nice defensive tool as well. You can also do a very funny, big, heavy metal build with this and all the other armor bonuses in the game, as heavy metal does apply flat damage, which we have a video about on the channel already. It's gotta be another A tier. Such a solid keepsake, and if you can string together a strong Arachne dress and pivot into Silken Sash, it really can carry some runs. Alright, Aromatic phial. Fountains restore 20% extra HP, and the next turns 1 random common boon of yours to heroic. Extra healing at a fountain, very nice. A random common boon becoming heroic, super fun, super strong. You can even set it up to only have just 1 common boon in your pool to guarantee a very specific boon to heroic, which is always awesome. We love boon rarity, we love Narcissus, we love the Aromatic phial. Fun and honestly, situationally very strong keepsake in all situations. A for above average, but definitely not astronomical. It's Aromatic phial, we'll put it there too. Okay, next up, Concave Stone. After choosing a boon 75% of the time, randomly take 1 more this night. Can be really good if it hits a good boon that you wanted alongside another one. Is also affected by success rate, so you can get it up to 100%. It's going to proc most of the times anyways. But getting it up to 100% would guarantee it to proc on the first boon you pick up in that biome, which is quite a nice interaction if you think about it. And going +1 boon never hurts. I think there's overall better options for both survivability and damage, but it can be quite fun, especially if you get a couple duo boons on your screen and end up sniping both, thanks to the stone. Not a bad keepsake by any means. The aptly named Concave Stone being our very first keepsake in the C tier. Lion Fang. Deal 50% damage, lose 5% of this bonus after each encounter. I think this keepsake is underrated. It gives you damage for no trade-off besides starting to slow down on the scaling. I've used it quite a few times. If you are just looking for damage without the trade-off of something like the White Antler knocking you down to 30 HP, you have the Lion Fang. You know, I like Lion Fang, and there's definitely an argument to be made about placing it into the A tier, but B tier's looking a little lonely. Why don't we start it out there for now? Okay, Blackened Fleece. After you take 250 damage, your Omega moves deal 30% damage. I believe it's 40% at max rank. The caveat here is you have to take 250 damage. A lot of the times, that's not going to happen. For the people out there who says, hey, I always take 250 damage, this keepsake rocks. Fair enough, if you are using a lot of Omegas, you do get 40% damage at max rank on your Omegas. However, for me personally, even if I have the requirements to use this keepsake, and I'm doing an Omega-based build, I prefer Metallic Droplet. You get move speed, which helps you survive. You get strike speed for your regular attacks, and you get channel speed for your Omega attacks, which a lot of the time will actually give you more damage or feel a lot better, or allow you to channel faster, therefore avoiding damage, helping you out in your run. Much more than straight Omega percent, in my opinion. So even if I filled out the prerequisites and was doing an Omega build, I would just be taking Droplet here if I'm looking for an offensive keepsake, personally. Even Lion Fang, you get 50% dropping down 5% each encounter, but it applies to everything. Or once again, it's just kind of a amount of damage that isn't imperative to the run. And I would just recommend, if your goal is to simply win, going for a more defensive keepsake. The Fleece for me is an easy C. Alright, Crystal Figurine now. After the next Guardian, activate 2 random inactive Arcana cards. Most of the time you have pretty much all the Arcana cards you want activated. You have to put this on, beat the boss, and then get just 2 cards. This was buffed very recently. Even still, the use cases for it are very low. I believe you might be able to hit Judgment with it, and then fill out all the cards, which can be funny. Some people said on Max Fear you should take this to try to hit Judgment. I don't even know if that's possible, and it's just such a ridiculous edge case that really makes no sense. It can give you some help, it can give you a bit of damage. If you're playing Strength, it can also give you Death Defiances, which is really funny. Overall, once again, just a lot better options. Very small actual use cases where you want to click Crystal Figurine. Isn't doing all that much. The stone, the fleece, and the figurine. Welcome to the C tier. Okay, experimental hammer. Gain 1 random Daedalus hammer. Lasts for 20 encounters. Love this keepsake. However, you have to take it when there's 20 encounters less in a run. It's an all or nothing keepsake. You get 1 random Daedalus hammer. You can get the best hammer in the game, and it can really help you win a run. You can also get a hammer that does absolutely nothing for your run, except take that hammer out of the pool, admittedly, which feels pretty bad. And if you're being smart about a run and really doing your best to win and making a good decision, I can't ever recommend experimental hammer. There is times it can also ruin a run, like getting Wide Grin on Medea. That is very funny, and I've seen it happen. The highs and lows of the experimental hammer. I still think I have to place it in B tier, as I'd take the gamble any day over what I have in C and D. But it'll go no higher from me. Alright, Jeweled Palm, the first of 3 Fate's Whim aspects. Gain a random Hades blessing, and most boons have +1 level. It's 2 levels at rank 2 and 3 levels at rank 3. This is incredibly strong. Yes, you have to have no rerolls and not take any sort of god keepsake, including Athena. However, the benefits of this can be incredible. Palm levels help so much with your damage, especially in an environment like Max Fear. You saw me use this. We don't have access to rerolls there, so it's even better. There's really no downside to it. Only downside is you can't consistently start a god keepsake, which does hurt, but the damage trade-off is well worth it. And then the Hades blessing on top of that, wow, just incredible, super strong starting keepsake, and an incredibly fun, new, interesting way to play Hades 2. I am so happy with the addition of these keepsakes. Jeweled Palm will never be anything short of S tier in its current state. Then we have the Calling card. Once again, while at Fate's Whim, you can rarefy Olympian Blessings. At max rank, this is going to allow you to do it 6 times this night. Basically securing 2, if not 3, depending on how lucky you get with rarity, heroic boons within 1 run, which is a ton of fun. Admittedly, it's hard to slot this into a run, because realistically, you have to go Jeweled Palm Biome 1 since this doesn't work retroactively, and you want to get all those palms, and you want to get all those palm levels as well as your Hades boon. And then, a lot of the times, I prefer to take Timepiece, Biome 2, to stack up a ton of gold to help me snowball the rest of the run. And by Biome 3 or 4, I'm looking more into endgame survivability than I would be on getting something like extra rarity, especially on boons that I'm picking up that late into a run. I would hope rarity isn't going to help me that much in Biome 3 or 4, and this also doesn't work retroactively. If I could pick up Calling card and just pick whatever boon I wanted to rarefy, you would be able to use it in more biomes, which is quite cool. Sadly right now, the way Jeweled Palm and Calling card work is they're desperately vying for Biome 1 viability, and Jeweled Palm vastly outperforms Calling card. And you could put on Calling card Biome 2 for rarity, but I personally just think a ton of extra gold is going to help you out much more in a run on average than some boon rarity, especially once again, you're putting this on earliest Biome 2, meaning the core of your build you built out in the first biome is not going to be rarefied, which can really hurt. There is edge cases which make this both super fun and super strong, but more consistently so, I'm looking at Jeweled Palm into Timepiece into some sort of defense or damage, and not Calling card damage at that point, because what it can do for rarefies in Biome 3 to 4 just isn't that great. I love Calling card, but I really do wish it was better. And for that reason, it's got to be a solid B tier for me today. And then we have the timepiece. While at Fate's whim, you can purge most rewards for gold, up to 4 times this night at max rarity. This is incredible. Helped me a ton in my max sphere run. Has a ton of use cases. First of all, the vow of forfeit, where you get 1 onion per biome instead of a boon. You can purge that, gain gold, and it also counts as your onion use. So it's gone, you've gotten a reward from it, and you get a boon next up. Not only that, but you can delete chaos boons for 550 gold, so you do not have to incur the wrath of chaos and risk a bad curse. You can just trade it all in for gold. You can use it to buy well items, buy out all your shops, buy back death defiances, buy damage, you name it, you can do it. Healing effects, rarity effects. Gold is amazing, and timepiece really helps you stack up a ton to then gain either damage or survivability across a run. Not only that, but we talked about the interaction with gold purse and paid dues, Hermes legendaries. If you can stack 1 billion gold off timepiece and then hit Hermes legendary, it is a very funny win condition that can work for almost any run. Having 3,000 or 4,000 gold thanks to timepiece deletions of the highest possible money you could, and then hitting Hermes legendary is hilarious. The amount of damage you could take before running out. I love this keepsake so much. It really pairs with the Jeweled Palm well. It got me my first 67 fear victory. The final keepsake on our list today is the Transcendent Embryo. Gain a random epic chaos blessing every 8 encounters. Replace it. Chaos blessings can be good. If you get a good one, you have to replace it in 8 encounters, and then you are subject to getting a bad one. Really not strong. It's a big gamble. It's much less consistent since chaos has so many different options you can hit. There's never a situation where I recommend putting this on. Look, we might be a little biased because it helped me secure the very first 67 fear run in 1.0. But timepiece is just so cool, so fun, so many unexplored interactions. Want a cool keepsake? It's going in S tier, right next to the Jeweled Palm. And finally, the Embryo. It's D tier for me. I don't see myself ever taking this keepsake under any circumstance. Now we'll do a little bit of reordering. Starting at the very top, I think I want to move White Antler all the way over. Next to Engraved Pin, I think Engraved Pin is the best keepsake in the game. White Antler, under the right circumstances, is the best, but getting to those circumstances keeps it behind Pin. Then I think I would do Jeweled Palm, Timepiece, Athena, then Droplet, God Keepsakes. I like all this. For A tier, I cannot deny how strong it is. Even if I'm not its biggest fan, it's gotta be Fig Leaf. Then I think I would actually give it up to Moonbeam if you have a Hex in a run. It is always nice to buff it up with extra upgrades from Selene, making it that much stronger. I like Silver Wheel third. Anytime I'm looking for extra magic, having a keepsake to give it to me is always nice. Ghost Onion for the very strong healing through the Vow of Scars. Luckier Tooth for the same thing, and potentially in the right situations even better if you can replace that DD and get to carry it on through. Then Silken Sash. Once again, if you can pair this with a strong Arachne dress, it's enough to almost win a run on its own. Aromatic phial for some heroic boons and extra healing. And then Knuckle Bones for the boss damage resistance and damage to the boss. B tier, I think I'm going to give it up to Calling Card. I would take the rarity over the Lion Fang damage, especially as it goes down within a biome. And then the Hammer can be amazing, but also horrible. And then in the C tier, I like how I have it set up. The purse has to be the best one, giving us some extra money after that if Evil Eye is set up on a boss. At least it does something. And then the Bell and the Embryo. I don't see myself ever using these. I'm happy with this. And with that, it is going to do it for today. That is our official Hades 2 1.0 definitive keepsake tier list. Please let me know down in the comments below what you disagree with me about. I always love reading the comments and seeing the discourse about the different opinions in the game. There is so much nuance to Hades 2. I have over 1,500 hours and I'm still learning something every single day. I greatly appreciate all the engagement from you all in my comment section. And thank you all for watching and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. It really does help me and the channel out a lot. And if you want to keep up with any more of my content, High Fear, speed runs, tier list, guides, build videos, fun runs, you name it, we're gonna do it. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you again for watching. Okay, bye. And a massive thank you to my members for supporting the channel. John Costello, Zuko's Honor, Horia Dragomir, Avocado Anna, Gay UD, Meist Jr., Shag Daddy, Vetatoid, Rob Wallace, Katarina V, Seneca, Ticolo, Hideki 504, Andy Fu, Saint Naive, But What About the Hostages, Night Crawler, David Hyman, Paul, Sho Shin, Nathan, Mininet, Andrew Reddick, Quib, and Fish Nabubu.